This week it's time for the most underrated rivalry in college football, and BYU fans are going to be so very upset with me.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin, and thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your daily source to stay up to date with the biggest stories in this, the greatest and craziest sport on planet Earth. What a week this is going to be in college football. LSU and Georgia Tech are getting legitimately tested this week. I'll talk about those games. Can Washington give Michigan another loss? I have my doubts, but first, Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 is here to talk about the game we look forward to every single year. Utah and BYU fans, I'm sorry, but I look at you being 3.5-point underdogs, and I can't help but have the gut reaction of BYU is underrated. They're at home. I had to do a triple take, Drake, because I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it sounded okay. I had to do a triple take because I see Utah as a 3.5-point favorite on the road, and I'm going, hold on. I've been reluctant to put BYU in my top 25 because their schedule's not been particularly strong, but whichever way you slice it, they haven't lost a conference game yet. They're 6-0 on the year. They're at home. And the Texas Tech game is a thing that happened in Salt Lake City, and Devin Dampier was healthy. I can't help but look and feel like BYU might be my favorite bet of the week, getting 3.5 points.
Did you say at the top of the show BYU fans are going to be disappointed with you?
Yes, very.
At what point here are they supposed to be disappointed with you?
The BYU fans that have been around for a while know that every time I pick BYU to do something, they do the opposite.
So have you picked them to lose pretty much all year?
That's the arrangement that we have. The last time I was confident in BYU, I thought they'd cover 6.5 at Colorado, and they were trailing that game 14-3 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a tough one. I think that this is an opportunity for BYU to stun the nation, upset Utah. Like, those just aren't things that I expected to say on Holy War Week when one team is undefeated. The other team's one loss was by as many points as humanly possible in their own venue. And may I remind you, Utah just did something for the first time in its program's history, and that's win a home game in the Big 12. That is an insane thing. They have not won a Big 12 home game until last week, well over a year, where they couldn't say that they had done that. BYU, conversely, is 17-2 in their last 19 games. And look, I think in the Spencer McLaughlin top 25, BYU certainly deserves to be a top 20 or top 15 team because at some level, and it's the same reason we have a preseason AP poll, there is rollover. When you were 10-2 last year, 11-2 overall after the bowl game, you deserve to be in the top 25 of the preseason and climb week by week because you were 11-2. And yeah, you lost your quarterback who was 11th in the Big 12 in QBR. And the quarterback you have this year, is he elite, Spencer? No. Is he a Heisman Trophy winner? No. Is he the 17th time Big 12 freshman of the week? Yeah, it's pretty much his award every single week. But look, his stats are comparable to Devin Dampier's, and he takes care of the football fairly well, and he's an efficient enough quarterback. I mean, this is a guy who's doing pretty much exactly what we saw last year out of a much older quarterback in Jake Retzlaff, and from there, the run game has taken over. Here's the metric that I look at, and this is from GameOnPaper.com. These are EPAs. These are efficiency metrics. I can't argue with them. You can't argue with them. They are what they are. Utah defensively, you ready for this? 86th in the country against the run, efficiency-wise. 86. Their run defense is not great. It's why Texas Tech gashed them with starter or backup quarterback. By the way, Will Hammond, he looked normal, if not bad, against Kansas this week. Utah, he looked really good. Still a question mark there. But Utah's run defense is one of the reasons Texas Tech was able to open the pass game because the run defense isn't there. Well, luckily BYU's bad at running the foot. No, they're not! 17th in the country running the ball. That's where BYU makes its bet. Now, Utah's pass defense, their secondary is great. They're bad against the run, and BYU just wants to run the ball. That's where I'm very confused as Utah being a favorite. I think if BYU was a 3-point favorite, that would make a lot more sense.
I agree, because what I've seen from Devin Dampier, they've gotten it right offensively the last couple of weeks. against Arizona State, who was playing with a backup quarterback. I know he doesn't play defense, but when your offense can't sustain drives in any way, shape, or form, yes, that has an impact on the other side of the ball. And West Virginia, who won their Super Bowl against Pitt, and we all knew was not going to be a great team in the Big 12 this year. I don't think Rich Rod's doomed to fail. I just think that this year it was never going to be super successful. And lo and behold, here we are. So I think there's an element. The UCLA win is just holding up great over time for Utah, Drake. That's a quality road win. Utah is a good team. I fully believe that. I just think Texas Tech is a great team that beat them on their home field. I just can't get behind, Utah beats Jeff Sims in West Virginia in back-to-back weeks, and suddenly they're fixed, and I should look at Utah as the team that, is going to go into LaVell Edwards Stadium. I really cannot believe that they are a road favorite in this spot. Because there's the other thing we've talked about with BYU and why I thought, maybe they wouldn't be as good without Retzlaff, because I like what he did last year. I think Bear Bachmeier, as you said, he's been fine. He's doing fine.
For a freshman, he is doing. Let's compare him to Isaac Wilson last year for a freshman.
Yeah.
He's leaps and bounds over where he should be from a confidence standpoint, at least.
Yeah, I think he's clearly doing enough to play winning football, and there is value to that when you are a young player in your career, and we can save it for an offseason segment to talk about what his long-term outlook is as BYU's quarterback. But the reason that BYU, I felt, still had a certain floor of production even without Retzlaff this year was the defense. Was they're a team that has won last year and this season with defense and special teams, and you look up and go, well, what has Utah's offense done against the best defense they have played this year? And I think that's what makes this game interesting, is they were ugly at home against Texas Tech. It was bad. This is now a measuring stick moment. What is more legitimate, BYU's defense or Utah's offense the last couple of weeks? Because the Cougars' defense really, for the most part, aside from the early part of the Colorado game, has been good. And Utah's offense the last couple of weeks, you can't argue with going over 40 points. I know they're not playing great opponents, but they have looked the way I think they're supposed to on that side of the ball. I think this is one of those measuring stick games for those particular units that'll give us a good understanding of, hey, are they both good, or is one overrated way more than the other?
Yeah, 24 points for West Virginia, and I'm not going to make an excuse for BYU because it's a full team, 3 phases of the game, but you have the full team that gives up 24. The offense had 2 turnovers that gave West Virginia the ball in the red zone. That's where West Virginia makes up points against a really good BYU defense. Much harder to play defense from your own 10-yard line than it is the opposing 25-yard line. Conversely, the Arizona game, double overtime, yet the Wildcats failed to score 30 points, just 27 in that loss to BYU. The Cougars defense is legit, and Devin Dampier, the most passing yards he's had this year is like 237 in a game. Like he's not blowing us up statistically. Now the run game for Devin Dampier is solid, no doubt. Ran for over 100 yards for the first time last week, for over 100 yards for the first time in a game this season last week in the win against Arizona State. But he looks, can I say it? He looks about like Bear Bachmeier. 2 guys who play make in different ways. Devin Dampier is a very quick runner. He's elusive. Bachmeier's not. He's going to put a shoulder in your chest and run over you. But their stats aren't that far off one another. And Dampier's played a lot of college football. Bachmeier still adjusting to the game as a true freshman who had no spring in the system either. He was learning Stanford's playbook all spring long. Goes to BYU. He's the starter. Does it mean one has a leg up over the other? I haven't seen that. I see 2 pretty evenly matched quarterbacks, and the biggest gap I'm finding efficiency-wise in this game, or from a numbers standpoint in this game, is that BYU is 70 places better running the football than Utah is defending the run, and therefore I believe BYU at home can control the clock and win this game in a stupid, ugly, gross 23-16 way that you go, you know what? I didn't love it. It wasn't sexy, but man, BYU's just that kind of tactical, slow-moving football team.
Hey, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Drake. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Don't forget that.
It's what all your ex-girlfriends told you, isn't it?
That was good. I brought that on myself. That was good. Excuse me for just one moment. You see this hat?
Oh, stop it!
Do you see this hat? I've put this hat on twice this year.
For the audio listeners, it says Utah, University of Utah.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. It is indeed a Utah hat. I'm not placing that hat on my head today. I might later this week, because just hear me out on on something I talked about before the year that I do fully believe. Kyle Whittingham is going to be as locked in for this football game as he ever has in his entire life. I don't think there is a chance that Utah comes out unprepared or getting off to a horribly slow start. I think this is going to be a really entertaining football game. But as I ponder my pick for the week in this game, haven't made it yet.
Okay.
Haven't made it yet. I'm sure BYU fans will be plenty annoyed enough just that I said they're being underrated in the spot. The revenge factor for Utah and for Kyle Whittingham after last year's game in Salt Lake City, boy, that is 60 seconds. Your thoughts on that angle of this game?
Kyle Whittingham, the BYU linebacker, Kyle Whittingham? Is that who you're referencing?
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy.
That's exactly why I think as of today, 10-0 is the score at the end of maybe the first quarter, middle of the second quarter. Utah's ahead. Utah's going to get a quick lead in this game. I think their opening drive, their script is going to be top notch, as good as you've seen it under Kyle Whittingham. However, from there, things become BYU's game as they wear down Utah the same way Texas Tech was able to do. 23-16 is where I sit right now. BYU early lead, no doubt. But BYU finds a way. Utah early lead, no doubt. BYU finds a way to win it by 7 points.
I'm going to think about this. I'm 1-1 putting this hat on this year. 1-1.
Over Texas Tech? Gross.
Yeah, I went against my Red Raiders. I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. I might just pick Texas Tech to win the national championship at this point.
Against Indiana.
Against Indiana, yes. Texas Tech, Indiana. A national championship that will feed families all over this great country. Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12. We're pivoting to two teams that are going to get tested. Yeah, see, Drake's out of the shot now because he's not going to be here to talk about LSU and Georgia Tech. Big tests this weekend. Georgia Tech, look out, man. First, this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. Safety and reliability, those are the important things in a car. Mazda gives you just that. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls, and with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. The winter seasons are around the corner for a lot of us, and you got to be able to be confident you can safely get out there on the roads no matter what. And Mazda gives you just that. Like the players of your favorite team, they sweat every detail at Mazda, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode also brought to you by our friends at Peloton. Peloton shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. If you want to have a fitness goal, and you want to actually achieve that fitness goal, Peloton is here to help you do just that. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton cross-training tread today at onepeloton.com. That's ONEPELOTON.com. Check them out at onepeloton.com. There are some outstanding games in college football this week, and I'm going to talk about 3 of them. That's right, 3 of them in this segment. One is not as outstanding as the others, but I want to start in the ACC. Do you realize this is a battle of conference unbeatens taking place in Durham this week? Georgia Tech is going on the road, and the 12th ranked team in the country, top 10 in my top 25, is an underdog by 1.5 points. There's a very clear reason for that. The answer is Darien Mensah. Darien Mensah, Duke being at home, that plays a factor as well. Darien Mensah got off to, let's call it a slow start. The Illinois game, the Tulane game, not good for the Blue Devils. Since they've gotten into conference play, where think whatever you want of the ACC, Duke has looked like the team that I thought they would be before the year. And if Duke wins this game, they're going to cause a shakeup. If you are an ACC needs to get 2 teams into the playoffs sort of guy, boy, you want Duke to lose this football game and Georgia Tech stay undefeated. Yellow Jackets are 6-0, and they are perhaps the most balanced team in the country. I don't know if there's another team that can do offensively at this point in the year what Georgia Tech has done. The Yellow Jackets throw for 238.8 yards per game. Through 6 games, they haven't lost. They are running for 238 yards per game. So it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's darn good. Haynes King is one of the most likable players in college football, and you have 2 quarterbacks that could not be more different in this game. Mensah has thrown for over 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns against just 2 interceptions. Just 2. That's it. They did not get off to a good... It looked like Duke was headed for a letdown sort of year. But remember, this is a program that went out and paid real money for Darian Mensah's services. And he looks like that guy right now. He is going to stand in the pocket. He can move. Make no mistake about it, he can move. But he's going to throw the football. Haynes King, on the other hand, you're just hoping he throws the football well enough. I am so torn picking this game. So unbelievably torn. So torn, as a matter of fact, I'm not picking the game right now. I'm just giving you an idea of what to expect and why this is a game that needs to be on your radar. Because Duke has an opportunity to control their own destiny to make the ACC championship game and therefore the college football playoff. Do we all understand that? Does that seem unreasonable in the ACC with Clemson's downfall? Louisville's just okay. Georgia Tech is that next team after Miami, right? Georgia Tech is an underdog this week. Is Vegas right again about favoring an unranked team against a ranked opponent? Maybe they are. They have been right many a times. Duke is at home. I'm very interested to see how this game plays out. So keep an eye on that particular matchup. How about another one? The higher ranked team is an underdog. Does that make it an upset? I was debating with a few of you about this last week on the show because I posed the idea that USC was going to upset Michigan. And some people said, whoa. This is not an upset. They weren't that nice about it, but that's okay. This is not an upset. USC is favored. I said, well, wait, USC isn't ranked. They were ranked in my top 25. They were not ranked in the AP top 25. But isn't that how we define upset? The team is Vegas determining the upsets now? Our friends at FanDuel that are providing all these odds, is that where we're at? Because I always thought it was you're ranked or you're not ranked. I'm not really clear. But in my experience, it's who's the higher ranked team. That's the way it's always been interpreted in my head. And those are the people that I talk to. But maybe people see it differently. Maybe they see it differently. But Vanderbilt is a 2.5-point favorite. There's a reason. Vanderbilt is just a straight up good football team. I worry about LSU's offense. I don't worry about LSU's defense. The total in this game is 48.5 points. And LSU played a fine game last week. They beat South Carolina. For whatever it's worth, they covered the 8.5-point spread they had. The final score was 20-10. LSU ran the ball better. They ran the ball better. I think that's the best thing I can say about the Tigers. They ran the ball better. Okay. These are two teams battling for their playoff lives. If you lose this game, you have to win out and maybe even get some help. You can't guarantee, you can all but guarantee, but you can't 100% guarantee that 10-2 gets you in the playoff. But when you consider the schedules both these teams still have to endure, LSU still has to play Alabama. Vanderbilt still has to play Tennessee. You want to go down that stretch trying to get to 10-2 because 9-3 we saw last year didn't get you in the playoff. I don't know that it will this season. Maybe it'll be different. But the biggest thing on the line in this game is that the winner gets to control their own path to the playoff. And you could not have two different levels or different types, I should say, of urgency for these two teams. For LSU, it is we have to make the playoff or else we're going to start to question our head coach. And for Vanderbilt, it's we have to find a way to make the college football playoff because what are we going to be after this season without Diego Pavia? That's an interesting offseason conversation because I think Vanderbilt has elevated their brand beyond what it used to be. Is that going to pay off on the trail? I don't know. We're going to find out. But at the very least, you will not have the most memorable Vanderbilt quarterback in recent memory after this season. And so the pressure on both of these teams, I think there's more traditional pressure on LSU, but there is an urgency for the Vanderbilt side of things. Fascinating matchup. I'm going to make all my picks later this week. It's too early. When games are going to be this tight, this competitive, I need thoughts to sit, marinate, and really simmer. But Friday's prediction show is going to have a lot of games because, boy, there are a lot of big college football games. But that is AP number 17 favored at home over AP number 10. Now, those two games are living up to the bill. And here's a game that isn't. Oklahoma. Why did I say Oklahoma State? I'm teasing you there because we all know that Oklahoma State is not playing any game we care about this year. Arizona State, on the other hand, is. Arizona State is going to try to be the first team to beat Texas Tech this week. Boy, they have to have Sam Leavitt play. Every starting quarterback is important. Every team needs to have a starting quarterback because he's better in the backup. That's why he's a starter. That is perhaps nowhere more true than it is for the Arizona State Sun Devils, who with Jeff Sims last week, without Sam Leavitt at quarterback, went into Salt Lake City, a place that Texas Tech has showed you can be defeated, and they lost the game 42-10. It wasn't close. It never was. Arizona State has no ability to play complementary football if Sam Leavitt doesn't play. Hopefully he gets back into it. Even if he does, I can't pick against Texas Tech. Not just because they are my beloved Red Raiders, who I have heaped praise upon since the early part of the offseason, and they are living up to the billing, maybe even somehow exceeding my expectations. If Sam Leavitt doesn't play, this will get ugly. If Sam Leavitt does play, Texas Tech is certainly on upset alert. I will not pick them to lose this football game. It's just a matter of whether they cover the 11.5 point spread. But the health of the quarterbacks in this game is not limited to a discussion for Arizona State because Baron Morton has been in and out. And I just keep wondering this, and I think it stinks that we have to be in this spot, but we do. The biggest question for Texas Tech going forward, and I know Will Hammond played very well on the road against Utah last time out. He looked a little bit more human, more like a backup quarterback, which is kind of what you expect. Some peaks and some valleys as well. I would hate for Texas Tech to have all the promise of this season and have it eventually get derailed by an injury to their starting quarterback. That would suck. That would really, really stink for Red Raider fans. Because this is a team that can not just win the Big 12. If you did the hypothetical that you hear a lot from SEC country, well, take a good SEC team, they would roll through the Big 12. They'd go undefeated. It would look like what Texas Tech is doing to the Big 12 conference right now. That's what it would be. That's just a hypothetical, though. We don't need to go further down that road. So I'd rather see the quarterbacks play. This is why, even though it's annoying, the NFL has such strict roughing the passer penalties. They want quarterbacks to stay on the field. Sam Leavitt runs a lot. He's been dinged up. Hopefully he plays. Baron Morton has been dinged up. Hopefully he plays. This game, not as big as it was supposed to be before the year. Heck, even a couple weeks into the season, not as big as it was supposed to be. I think that's unfortunate, which is why I bring up the Duke-Georgia Tech game. That's going to be awesome. It's why I bring up Vandy and LSU. That game should be really awesome. Nashville should be on fire. How about that sentence? Speaking of games, deep dive and prediction coming for Washington, Michigan. I like the Wolverines a lot. First, this episode brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting. But getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or the guest room could use new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and budget. And With free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. You want to throw that perfect holiday party? Wayfair's got everything that you need to do just that and impress whoever you want to impress. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. This episode also brought to you by our friends at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. So if you need parts fast for a project, let's say tomorrow, for instance, Supply House has next day delivery. You talk about a game changer, that is what we're talking about. Join this free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Guess what, Michigan fans? You think I don't like your football team. I have no reason to not, and I like them a lot this week against Washington. Roman Tomashoff of Locked On Huskies is here. Give me a reason to like Washington. Well, first, let me give you my reasons why I like Michigan. I'm probably going to make this a best bet, which Michigan fans, I apologize in advance for placing that curse upon your team. But the reason I like Michigan big, they got beat last week. They're back at home. Washington's got to go 3 time zones away. I always forget Michigan's in the Eastern time zone. Washington has not been a good team on the road. Washington's missing a couple players on the offensive line. I see this as a revenge spot after last year's game in Husky Stadium as well. Everything is there to me for Michigan to go win this game by, 20.
Let me give you a couple of fun facts here, Spencer, and I wanted to point at you with the pen just for dramatic effect. One of my biggest questions is Justice Haynes going to play in this game? Like, that is something that I think is really important because Washington is a top 10 run defense in the country right now, allowing 82.8 yards per game, which I believe ranks 8th nationally. So that's something I think is an important part of this. The offensive line questions, if John Mills and Carver Willis, their left guard and left tackle respectively, are unable to play, are very fair. But let me just throw a name at you who has been one of the best players in college football this year, regardless of position. DeMond Williams Jr. has arrived. And I just watching this kid every week is so much fun. And I'm going to throw another fun fact. Let me grab my pen again so I can just point at you like this.
Yep, go ahead. You go right ahead.
Spencer, what is Washington's record on the road this year?
I believe it is 2-0.
It is 2-0. And one of those wins was a 3 time zone win at Maryland.
That's true.
Definitely seeing some improvement in that department. It's a step in the right direction, which is all you can ask for. But I look at this game and in my preseason predictions, I have Washington losing this game. I'll admit that. I will own up to that. But I don't like Michigan big. I think this is going to be a really close game.
Look, Michigan only has, because their passing offense isn't there yet. I do believe it'll get there one day, maybe not this season even. I think they need to reload at receiver in the offseason with the transfer portal. But if they beat Washington, yeah, it might not actually be by 25 or 30 because it's not fully in their DNA. You know, they have to have such a good team because of their style to truly win a game by 40, 50 points. They have to break a lot of explosive runs, especially with this team. However, the more physical team in the trenches usually winds up winning. That game that you mentioned, or the 2 games that you mentioned for Washington's road victories, came against Maryland, 3 time zones away, and Washington State, a couple of hours away. And oh, by the way, before Washington staged a phenomenal comeback, what was the score of the Maryland game?
It was 20-0 at one point.
It was 20 to nothing.
What was the final score?
The final score was 7-24?
24-20.
24-20. 24-20, yes. An incredible job by Washington, and one that should inspire confidence in Husky fans that they can indeed play away from Husky Stadium and win a football game. However, this Michigan team is not going to surrender a 20-0 lead. They're built to lead, to control a game when they have that sort of lead. That is the way that Sharon Moore has them made. They are old school Stanford, new school Michigan. It's all one and the same when I watch it play out on the football field each and every Saturday. So Michigan in this spot is probably one of my favorite picks of the week. I am supremely confident because how often do I think Washington's improved? Yeah. I picked them to go over their win total of 7.5 this year. They're well on their way to doing that. But I don't think this is a game that they have shown me enough. This would be the best road win of the Jedd Fisch era by far. And while there's some progress, Washington State is not very good. And they were down 20-0 at Maryland and needed a little magic.
Whoa, first of all, best road win of Jedd Fisch's UW career. It's a very low bar right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is the best road win? Maryland?
Probably Maryland, yeah. Because there are only two.
There are only two.
But hey, that Wazoo team just went to put up a fight in Oxford. Like I have to take my hat off to them for doing that.
They did. They played a heck of a football game.
They absolutely did.
No doubt about it. Zevi Eckhouse he's pretty good.
Zevi, but yeah.
Zevi. Sorry.
Hey, we got that. Hey, I had to respect him after what happened in that Apple Cup game as well.
He's good.
But no, I do hear what you're saying when it comes to the trenches especially. And the one thing that you say is, yeah, Michigan is built to hold on to a 20-0 lead. But I don't think they're going to jump out to a 20-0 lead in a game like this. Like whatever the over-under is from our good friends over at FanDuel, I would take the under in this game. I feel like it's going to be a hard-fought, low-scoring game where I like Washington's ability to strike quickly and score because of the weapons that they have on the outside, because of how young guys have emerged, like true freshman wide receivers, Raiden Vines, Bright, and Desmond Roebuck, alongside one of the best pass catchers in the country, and Denzel Boston. I love what DeMond Williams brings from a dual-threat perspective. This Washington offense is built to strike quickly, and it is top 3 in the Big Ten in yards per game. It is top 5 in the Big Ten in points per game. This has been a really efficient and explosive offense all season long. Like outside of the Ohio State game, this team has shown that it's taking tremendous steps in the right direction. And I think Michigan is a good defense. I don't think it's as good as Ohio State's defense by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope. So Ohio State is the best defense in all of college football.
It definitely does. But I look at this game, and no matter the outcome, I think that this is a very different Washington team. The biggest question that I have outside of the health in the trenches is, are you going to get out of your own way early in this game? Because you go from, again, taking the Ohio State game out of it, where Washington didn't score a touchdown in that game and then didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter of the Maryland game. The point here is slow starts. Washington has gotten off to slow starts and not gotten out of their own ways. You go down 10-0 against Rutgers as well, and then you're able to storm back, and DeMond Williams post the most total yards in school history with 538. You were able to get out of your own way there, but are you going to do that early in the Big House? Because if that does happen, if you do stumble early in that game, Michigan is going to take advantage. I think that Jedd Fisch and this coaching staff have done a good job trying to change things up, and I think that's going to show. And again, this is going to be a really fun, well-fought game.
Yeah, it is. It's big noon kickoff, and it's an awesome matchup, and a lot of people are clamoring this week for Washington to be ranked in the top 25 at 5-1, which I understand. They are in my receiving votes category at the moment, because I do worry about the first half of football that they have been playing over the last couple of games. And look, it's 4-quarter football game, but the biggest reason I'm confident in Michigan in this spot is the fact that they're coming home after that game against USC, and the Washington, even at home, has not always gotten off to great starts, particularly on offense. And I think when you are on the road against this Michigan defense, I just don't think that you can afford that. So the biggest key for Washington, they've got to be able to put up, I think, at least 10 points in the first half. At least 10. If they have an Ohio State, and I don't think Michigan's Ohio State, but I think they're closer to Ohio State than Michigan's defense is to what you saw with Maryland's defense.
They got 2 nice edge rushers. I thought you were going to say Rutgers.
Either one. Either one, quite frankly. I like Michigan in this spot. I don't love the Michigan offense. And look, I would certainly love to see Justice Haynes play in this football game, and I would feel more confident because his ability to break big runs is just such a huge part of what the Wolverines do successfully on offense this year. And that can make life easier for Bryce Underwood as well. Whether he plays or not, I like Michigan 21-13. I think they win this game.
I wouldn't consider that big from, how we started this, but I like where you're going with that.
Fair. Let me just do a mild amendment here in real time because I'm allowed to do so. My name's on the show.
All right.
If Justice Haynes doesn't play 21-13, Justice Haynes does play 28-13. How about that?
I don't know if I agree with you there, but
Okay.
I don't do score predictions because I'm a jinx, so I will just refrain from that for now.
Yeah, coward's the word you're looking for, but that's okay. We like him anyway. Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Huskies. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.